Do you see what is happening on screen? That's right. I have ascended above painting. I am not a painter. I am a de-painter. I am attacking my paint job with a scalpel. Not everyone can handle de-painting, of course, and in this video I'm going to show you how to avoid de-painting your models. I am going to show you how to paint your entire Gallowdark terrain set using this funky night fighting scheme to get your terrain on the table fast, using only rattle cans and the biggest dry brush you own, because finesse is for babies. I'm also going to talk about the practicality of the Gallowdark terrain itself as a game aid, not just as a fun hobby project. That's right, some people on YouTube actually play the game. We'll start with hobby because I am well known as something of a hobby master. I am the splinter to your turtles, the rat tail to your half shell, the Qui-Gon Jinn to your Obi-Wan, the Emperor to your Vader, oh no, wrong IP, the Emperor to your Horus, the Primaris to your Vanilla, the table to your chair. But before we get to the hobby, if you are a subscriber to my channel, I'd like to give you a big double hello. Oh wow, wasn't that a wholesome feeling? Didn't you feel seen and validated? If you felt witnessed, drop a rattle can in the comments, throw a dry brush at the like button that's big enough to also hit the notification bell, and smash your forehead into the subscribe button. If you like what I'm doing here, also check out my other channel, Full Scale Wargaming, where I talk about 40k and War Machine. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, consider hurling insults at me on Patreon, and by insults I mean money, thank you. Let's talk hobby. What are you watching on screen? That's me. Hi, what's up? Yeah, same bro, same. This video started out as a how to paint into the dark in 1 hour without even needing a brush, promoting the speed and ease of this style, so I recorded the entire spraying session as proof. It took me 1 hour and 9 minutes. I failed, just like I do with everything in my life. So I sprayed everything without many close-ups. Genius, right? For a hobby video, genius. Sure, you can see what I'm doing and figure it out, but how does one get these sick gradients that are reminiscent of a World War I night flare rising above the battlefield and casting a pool of red over the poor souls beneath it as a horrifying precursor of what's to come? We have the blackest blacks to simulate pure darkness. We have a dark blue to imply the hint of shape in the dark of night, the flash of movement your eyes just pick up on before the lasbolt gives you a Glaswegian hello. Then we have the blood red, the light of the flare bringing out the details of your foe as they charge towards you. That's the theme, that's what we're evoking, but how? How is this magic possible? Rattle cans, baby. Sick gradients and sick time savings, that's my vibe. You know what makes me an alpha male? Alternatively positioned zenithals. You need black, blue and red sprays, and you need to know the angles to spray at for maximum dramatic effect on the psyche of your foes. Let's not waste time, let's jump into it like Mary Poppins into a chalk painting. But I've already sprayed all of the terrain. Great job me, so let's pull out a random model for demonstration purposes. This is an Orc Deathcopter and it is grey, naked, bare to the world, showing you its soul. Would you reject it? Would you click off now, you monster? You need to make it black. I use Halford's, a car spray, best one I've ever used. Go with matte black or satin black, not gloss. I advise removing the cap from the can and then applying pressure with your finger on the top of the nozzle. Some people will talk about ideal temperatures and distances to spray at. I say nah brah, wing it. We're here to be cool, not nerds. Great job on blacking your model. Next we move to the blue, black and blue, let's not think about that. Darkest blue you can find, which turns out to be super bright still, actually. I went with Nosferatu Blue from TT Combat. At this point, you need to decide how dramatic you want this lighting shift to be. I like dramatic AF. The flare is above and to the right of my models, so I know the entire right side will be covered in red, and therefore the bottom left is the only bit I want total darkness. So when spraying the night blue, the mid-tone, it needs to leave the black, but also cover more than the red. This means you need to cover the entire right side plus more. This blue isn't a light source. This is the actual colour of the model that isn't darkest shadow, so make sure to get it round more than just the light right side. The model looks very blue now. That's good, don't worry. The model is meant to be blue. That's the colour of night. Finally, we come to the red. This is your light source. This is the flare that lights the battlefield as the whistle blows and the ladders slam against earthworks and the machine guns start firing. This comes from the upper right, so go ahead and spray. Now on this model, I'll be honest, I was too zealous. I spray at too low an angle and shouldn't have gone down that far. You do want to go down lower an angle than you think, but not horizontal like I did. But the key to this step isn't in what happens to the right side. It's what happens to the left side. The right side is in the red light, it's fine. You want to make sure that the dark side isn't actually in total darkness. You want to angle your spray so that the uppermost features of the dark side do get hit by the red flare. This is what sells the effect from more than just a single angle. Is it how light would really work? No. But it's an orc, so light works how the gestalt thought of mushrooms wills it. At the core of things, that's it done. 3 colours all from a Rattlecan. However, I would advise one more step. The dry brush, and yes, it does have to be a dry brush, not a Rattlecan. I tried, it's not possible. And I ain't no airbrush, bitch. You need a highlight colour. I'd suggest an orange, but you do you. You can go all the way up to a beige or even raw, pure gangster white. In fact, highlighting this style with a white is how all of this started for me when I tried to replicate the Cursed City style. But for this, I personally use P3's Cador Red Highlight. Subtle enough to show a highlight but not draw the eye. Because now we have the finishing touch, which is the spot colour. A quick and simple OSL dry brush in a contrasting colour to the red. Pick whatever colour you want, but make sure it's bright and vibrant. Draw the eye, baby. I've gone with yellow, specifically P3's Cygnus yellow. A very bright blue, almost white like on a plasma, is also a really good option. The spot colour is all about drawing the eye and allowing the theme to take over. For this Devcopter, that was a challenge because there weren't any lights I could actually use, so I had to get a little bit crazy and pretend some random pipes and his eyes were glowing. Luckily for the Gallowdark terrain, there were lights aplenty, and this set is a great example of how the spot colour, the colour that draws the eye and stands out from everything else, actually makes the scheme. Spot colours are god colours. So I went ahead and Cygnus yellowed every light and did some weird blue thing for the Tesla coils too, let's not talk about it. There are plenty more light points on the Gallowdark terrain if you want to use this scheme, but get more detailed. But, you know, I don't like hobby. I wanted to keep this quick and get to playing games. With the hobby section done, let's have a brief aside for some cool lore on the Gallowdark. I'm reading from the Into the Dark rulebook here. The Gallowdark is a space hulk. Thank you for indulging me on that brief lore segment. Let's continue with the hobby and finally talk about why I was shanking the terrain at the beginning of this video. Games Workshop knows its terrain. They're really good at it. What they can't account for is the fools that are going to paint their terrain. They made this Gallowdark terrain to such a tight tolerance that if you paint the connecting joints, it no longer fits. Avoid the hour and a half of terrain shanking I inflicted upon myself, and please masking tape up the connecting joints on the walls. If you're watching this video late and are looking for the best way to depaint the model, then unless you have access to a very good Dremel, then it really is the best way to do it by hand with a knife. I actually went out and bought a cheap Dremel, and it didn't work no matter which tool I used it with. Shank it, baby. The best way to do this is to assemble a column. Scrape off the paint till you think it's good, and then push fit it into the column to make sure you've taken enough off. You'll get the hang of it, but you really do have to scrape a lot more off than you'd think. This isn't a quick and easy job to undo. Hobby done, let's have a quick discussion on the terrain itself. It's a great kit, no doubt. However, assembling and disassembling is not quick. Every time you put the board together, you will need to lay down all of the pieces roughly where they should go, and then have a pile of columns by the side, and make sure you put the right column piece at the right intersection, because otherwise the board won't assemble if you put the wrong one at the wrong place, and the columns aren't marked, so you just have to kind of guess. The precise fitting of the board is not intuitive, let's be honest. Make sure you label all of your wall pieces by matching them up with the book, and then using a silver Sharpie on the bottom of the wall to label it. Then you just have to follow the diagram. Now, this isn't the end of the world, and in casual play I actually have zero issues with any of these negatives at all. It is, however, rather limiting for tournament play, where table swapping is required for a fast day. Also, after all of these column capping pieces are attached, the terrain fitting tolerance is so tight that things don't actually sit flat on the board, or at least they didn't for me. Won't be an issue for gameplay, but does look a bit jank. And again, tight tolerances, I would strongly recommend masking tape on the tops of your columns as well. It's too late for me, but save yourself. I will just have to invest in a sledgehammer to make sure my column tops can sit flush, and then sacrifice a small animal or child to the Chaos Gods to be able to remove them again. And that is it, everybody. That is Gallowdark terrain. That is that is my own personal Rattlecan only night style scheme. My Gallowdark terrain, don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. Alpha male Rattlecans, or you know, other TikTok words right here. Just put them in, anything, and then just quote me. Quote whatever you pretend that I say in the comments below. Thank you. I'm excited to see what the next box brings us, but for now, Rattlecan on, my Rattlecan heroes. Stay safe. My Rattlecan don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. My Rattlecan is broken.